Today we're at the Cereza Passive House and we're talking organization and specifically organizing chaos. Let's take it away. Today I'm with Eric Garfinkel from Palo Alto Concrete and we're talking chaos and organization. And as Eric knows, we are all about organizing. We're all about planning a project way ahead of time during the pre-construction process. And one of the reasons we love working with Eric's team is we have 25 guys down here and every one of them knows exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it and what they need to do in case of emergencies. So Eric, tell me a little bit about your position with respect to kind of getting your guys to work together and how you instilled that in them, because I think it's super important.
Yeah, I think it all starts with pre-planning. In our company, we always look at projects ahead of time. Every Monday at 6:30, we have a multiple amount of foremans and superintendents. We all do a Monday war meeting at 6:30 and go through all the projects, what the week is.
A war meeting?
Yeah. It is
kind of a war sometimes.
It's a little bit of a war zone, and I don't mean that in a violent way, but there's a lot of challenges and moving parts, and it's dangerous for sure.
That's true.
And you got heat and lots of heavy equipment for our trade, and so we all start with pre-planning. That's where it really begins. If we're not if we're not on top of the challenges ahead, we're not going to be good on the field. So really, that's where it starts.
So what are some of the consequences of kind of not planning, and what was your experience in trying to, or at least before you kind of became super organized, how was your business different?
I think it tends to be chaos, and I think that it ends up costing time and money, and so when I started my company at 16 years old, I realized as I went through it, you have to be organized, and if you're not, you're going to lose profit and time. So I always thought, okay, I could raise my prices to make the margin and be disorganized, or I could be organized and be very efficient, be competitively priced, and grab a margin by being more organized than the other contractors like myself.
And how do you get your guys? Because let's face it, construction is really hard, and a lot of the guys, they're not doctors and lawyers.
Right.
They're guys that maybe didn't have a lot of formal education, and yet you look at them and every one of them is focused and working hard and they know exactly what they're doing. And part of the reason that this channel exists is to help explain what we do as builders to people who don't know. And for anybody who thinks that this is an easy profession, has never done it.
Right.
I mean, I was working actually at my house the other day. We were just making a little bit of trench to get some drainage away from the house out of concrete. And I've done a little bit of it and I'm not great, especially compared to these guys. My son was like, you make that look so easy, because he'd struggle with it for like 15 minutes, right? So how do you get your guys to understand what the impact of all of their coordinated actions mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and our company invests a lot of time in training, and so it's all about training. In the market now, we're non-union, and the trade schools have gone away at schools. A lot of these guys come from a background of not being trained, and so that's, if you have a undisciplined approach, then you're going to get chaos, disorganization, overcost, wasted materials, wasted time, wasted energy, human energy. So it starts with that training. The other thing is I built a team. We have a very structured team. We have leaders, we have lieutenants, we have domestiques, all the helpers, and that's how we've really structured it. It's from a power structure, it's flat. We don't have power issues, but we have guys that are responsible for certain things, the managers, and then the guys down in the trenches, so to speak, have their responsibilities. And I do a special thing where we share profits at the end of the year, and we all reaping the benefits of being organized and working as a team. I was taught from an Indian developer I work with that if you take a fabric and you take a lot of small threads and you weave them together, the fabric is stronger than the individual thread. So I've always, again, brought that to my company. So organization, team is equal strength. And
so you've really you mentioned earlier, you share profits with your team. And so that suggests to me that your team understands the profitability of your organization, and they understand how their actions affect the profitability of the organization. And Jack Stack, in his book, The Great Game of Business, really emphasized this collaborative, open book type of system where you teach the guys that are on the operating line. So the Toyota Way is another great example of this, where you teach the guys that are actually doing the work how their work affects the top line revenue and the bottom line profit. And giving them that power gives them ownership of that project. And now you have a bunch of owners working together to make the company great. One of the things that I loved about those books, but also about kind of your philosophy, is it seems like there's not a lot of hierarchy, not a lot of middle management, so to speak, but everybody is kind of working to train everybody else.
Yes, I think it's a team effort. Again, I always looked at the team model, and you obviously have your stars that really make it happen, but they couldn't do their job unless they have every other team member behind them or with them to do their job, and vice versa. So yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that's, again, on the non-union side, doing custom homes, relatively small companies, that isn't instilled. Most guys just start the trade. They love what they're doing, but they're not bringing all that business savvy to it.
So we talked a little bit earlier before we started rolling video, and we talked about other builders and subtrades that weren't as organized and kind of ran it based on force of personality as opposed to systems and processes.
I think so.
And how do you think that impacts the final product that the clients get?
Well, I think the good guys do get the good product. I just think that they spend energy and time and money to get there. So, and then the ones that don't care enough, that of course their product shows, but I think there are a lot of good guys that are incredibly good builders, but they don't have the discipline or the philosophy of a team effort or a management structure, and it just shows in their bottom line. That's what I've noticed. I'm a subcontractor, and we are picky who we work for as generals because we're married with you guys until we're done, and if you're disorganized and we're super organized, we're still going to have a struggle getting through.
So it's a struggle for you. So really, us at the front end interacting with the architects and the clients and the engineers, being organized makes your lives easier.
Well, it makes it easier, but also more efficient, less energy, and more profitable.
So I think it's really important. If you're interested in learning more about the business of construction and about what it takes to build these amazing projects without a bunch of stress and chaos, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way. I'm Dave Edwards with Earthbound Homes. Go ahead.
I'm Eric Bart.
Let's try that again. Today I'm with, sorry, I'm gonna introduce you.
Okay,
no,
no, you, I apologize.